getting late for you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of One Piece Madness. It's been a very long winter since the last time we've recorded one of these episodes. How are you, Hatem?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, dude. This chapter is insane.
There's
One of
a
the
there's a
first few
lot of
chapters,
setup.
one of the first few chapters where my jaw dropped. Like, honestly, crazy reveal, a lot of setup. Let's just get right into the cover page.
Yep.
Uh, I really like the cover page because it shows us an early preview of what the core scientists of Mads were into. You can see Caesar making devil fruit, which looks a lot like the Gomu Gomu no Mi or the Nika fruit. Uh,
You think?
yeah, it kind of looks similar, uh, in my opinion. Let me just look at it again. But I think it looks very similar. What do you think?
I don't remember. I mean, they kind of all have like the similar design, like with the patterns. Like they're always like kind of. I don't know how to describe it, but they usually have those loops. It feels
Queen
like
is
if
looking
it was
hella
a
fat
real
as well.
life.
Yeah. Sorry, continue.
You know what I'm saying? That if you with the fruit, like I feel like the fruits always seem like they're very textury. Like they have a lot of texture to it, as opposed to compared to regular fruit.
Yeah.
Maybe
I
like a
was saying that
melon.
Queen at this point also realized that he's getting too cool for his own good, so he started gaining some weight. That's good. And yeah,
Yeah, that's
Judge is looking a
clearly
little
what it
bit
is.
more like Sanji, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, like an evil Sanji.
Yeah, uh, the cover story is supposed to be about Germa's cold-blooded voyage, but now it's just looking like a Vegapunk backstory and more lore dump.
Yeah, I mean in the Viz translation, it's an emotion. It's an emotionless excursion. Sorry for the lack of emotion, but it's like an emotionless excursion, mass-produced weapons of slaughter. That's what it says at the bottom.
Four
So
piece. Match was created four piece, by the way.
yeah, yeah, and this says mass-produced weapons of slaughter now. So clearly, there's a shift that Oda is trying to show in the cover story, but we might get like an actual backstory of what it is after. Clearly, these guys' intentions might have been much better at one point, and then for whatever reason they're like, yeah, start killing people, I guess.
Yeah, but yeah, man. This chapter then goes into the whole Bonnie and Vegapunk interaction. Unless you had something else to say about the cover story.
No, I'm good. But let's dive into the rest of the chapter.
Honestly, this episode might be a little short because there's just a lot of setup going into this chapter. We see we see Bonnie leading Vegapunk to tell her what the Kuma backstory is, and we all are Bonnie. We all want to beat the shit out of Vegapunk because he's just teasing us and giving us blue balls for like 20 years now. So it's high time we know what's happening with Vegapunk. Uh,
Well,
with with
it's
Kuma.
funny. I'm definitely thinking that Oda did a good thing by making Vegapunk small. He gets that merchandise, the merch of young Vegapunk. But I think Vegapunk looks hilarious as a kid too, and looks kind of cute too as a kid.
Yeah, I mean that's one def. I think we did hit on this when we first started our YouTube thing. Is each chapter comes out with new outfits, new looks, just for merch, and younger Vegapunk definitely will sell as a Funko Pop. I'm not gonna deny that.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, Funko Pop. In fact, now that you say Funko Pop, I kind of want it, but I always convince myself not to get the Funko Pops because I'm like, it's the most worthless thing I can get, and where would I even put it? So
I feel like once I
it's cool
start, I
though.
won't stop.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I
I'm not
think
gonna
that's
start.
true. Yeah, yeah, don't start because then you won't stop because you'll be like, oh, I should get this one and this one. It's like you don't really need it. So
But anyway, the cool thing about the Kuma Bonnie interaction, the Bonnie Vegapunk interaction, I'm mixing up my characters here, is towards the end of the whole thing where Bonnie's not supposed to enter a lab, which has a huge freaking Kuma paw on it. And Vegapunk's like, don't go there. That has nothing to do with Kuma. Bonnie's not stupid. So she entered that lab, and it looks like that big ball paw thing that we saw at Thriller Park. But I feel like the difference over here is that that one symbolized all of Luffy's pain that Kuma was able to extract. But then after that, we don't know what happened exactly because Zoro said nothing happened. So I'm not sure what happened after that. But I feel like the Paul we're seeing over here is not as ominous as the one at Thriller Bar. So I don't think this is a big ball of pain. I think this is a big ball of
He
memories.
he's definitely. I mean, has a flashback where they talk about getting memories and parts of the soul. So there's definitely more nuance to the pawpaw fruit. And you're right, it doesn't look it's kind of like glowing and it's just in the middle. So I would doubt he would just keep pain for no reason. Like, what benefit would he have to just leave it there?
The I So a few content creators had mentioned the fact that the 21 grams is the weight of a soul is backed by there was a scientist in the early 1900s who had come up with that in a very very flawed study. Sample size was too small. He had deduced randomly that the weight of a soul is 21 grams. I think Oda is trying to bring some actual science into this to make it a little bit more in the sci-fi, which is kind of cool. It's not just crazy superhero logic, you know?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, he usually tries to bring in Rio, and I just looked it up too. It's studied by Duncan McDougall in
McDougal,
Haverhill,
yeah.
Massachusetts.
That's
In
where you
Haverhill,
live.
Massachusetts. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's in Massachusetts. Wow. So, and there's a lot of articles about it. So, we'll probably talk about that another day.
You talk about what?
His study about the
Yeah,
21
so
grams.
I saw someone talk about the study, and it's not that great. The sample size was too small, and he used a lot of factors which don't make a lot of sense. I don't remember which ones exactly, but you can look into it. It's not worth the whole episode. It's fine. Just read it whenever you want. Uh, but yeah, I feel like the next chapter will set this. This is the setup for the next chapter for when Bonnie touches the paw. We will finally get a lore dump on who Kuma was, why he did the sacrifices. And Morge did mention this in an old video of how the theme of a father son relationship has been consistent throughout One Piece, and this is just another example of a father
Yeah.
sacrificing everything he has and knows for his daughter. There was another. He did bring it up a lot. Morge did bring up a few examples, but I'm honestly blanking right now. Have you seen that video?
I have not. I haven't watched his latest video on.
No,
Wait, which one are you talking about?
it's
The
not
one
the
about?
latest one. It was like a few months ago. He had made a video on Kuma and what the backstory actually is, and he predicted it was going to be the reason why he did everything was to protect his daughter, and
Oh yeah, yeah.
that
I
is
watched that.
prediction because this has been a theme throughout One Piece: the father protecting their child. But I'm trying to remember which other example is there. Like another one I'm thinking about is not father daughter, but like parent child is Portuguese DS with his mom. The fact that she held him in for how many months since she sacrificed herself for the sake of Ace. So it is there. The themes are there in One Piece, and I think that's a decent enough um, argument or prediction. And I think that's going to come true.
I mean, there's still there was in Dressrosa there was Rebecca and what's his name? I can't remember.
The toy
Um,
soldier.
yeah, but I can't remember his name. Um,
Kratos?
and then and don't forget also, um, with Alabasta VC we have that connection of Vivian Cobra. There's a lot of stuff, but
Yeah.
I think there might be more to it than just simply because Oda usually tries to make parallels between previous stories, but at the same time, it'll have its own nuances as well. It's like a potato, but like instead of it being mashed, it'll be fried. He'll have his different way of showing the story. So I'm sure that's one factor, but I'm sure there's other factors too. Like I'm sure helping the Straw Hats and Sabati didn't have anything to do with a Bonney. Maybe it did. I doubt it. So like there's certain actions that he has done that you would wonder why it would actually benefit to it would be to Bonnie's benefit.
The Sabaody thing was more for Dragon, because I think he knew that Luffy is Dragon's son.
Yeah, yeah. I mean probably, but we should get his true motives, and there might be a backup plan too, and or a backup program that he put into his he asked Vegapunk to put because that would must be a reason why he's going to the red line right now.
What's your favorite kind of potato, by the way?
Favorite potato? It's tough because I like mashed, but I also like baked potatoes too. But I also like fries, so it's really hard to say, hard to decide.
It depends on the main dish, I'm assuming.
It depends on the main dish, but like I feel like I don't know. I kind of like baked potatoes, and I'll say baked potatoes only because I don't eat baked potatoes that often.
Your thoughts on sweet potato fries?
I'm not really a big fan of sweet potato fries. Like it's okay, but I'm not really
Same.
that big
They're
on it
trash.
because it's like
They're
it's the
trash.
sweetness gets off. Yeah, the sweetness gets me off. But there's also tater tots too, and tater tots are really good as well. And don't forget like actual like potato wedges. Potato wedges are also really good too.
Oh man. You made me hungry. Alright, screw this. Let's move on to the chapter. One thing that pissed me off about this chapter is Kaku got an awakening and 500 beast pirates plus Kaido plus Yamato. We didn't see any awakenings in Wano. And I think this is upsetting a lot of One Piece fans, not just me. So I'm just wondering what your take on this is. Like, do you care that we didn't see any Zoan awakenings during the 3 years of Wano?
Yeah, I know. Oh, I thought I didn't know you were waiting for me. Sorry.
Ah,
I was actually
fine.
I'm just looking at the chapter 2, and I was just thinking like, is he awakened or is it just hockey? Because in the Viz translation, I don't know how it is in the other translation, but he even Brooks like, what? Why does he look like that? And Zoro was like, he's supposed to be a giraffe, but he didn't look quite like that before. So I don't know if he's actually awakened or if it's a hockey or both. But for whatever reason, he doesn't look like how he usually did before.
You can see the flames, the awakened flame that you saw on Lucci last chapter.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I see it. I mean, here's the thing is, here's my thing with Kaido not having awakening. Whether he did or not, in the end, he still had Conqueror's Haki, which we know is a bigger deal than just having awakening. So I do think it's weird that we didn't get the awakening. Maybe Kaido didn't get a chance to use it, but either way, and we haven't seen many zones doing awakening. But I think it's fitting for these former CP9 members to have it because they pretty much train all the time, and we know how talented that they are. Zone's kind of hard to awaken, and I just don't feel like maybe for Kaido, he just didn't feel the need to awake. He might have he a has awakening and didn't feel like he needed it, or B, he doesn't have awakening, but he but relies more on Conqueror's Haki, so it didn't really matter to him that to not have awakening.
Not sure how I feel about that. Because apart from Kaido, there are 500 other Beast Pirates who probably do train a lot. The All Stars, Toby Ropo, none of them had an awakening, so
Then there's C option that Kaido will come back, and we might see his awakening then. There's A, B, and C, or Oda just couldn't add the awakening into the mix of an already long fight.
I don't want him to come back because Oda's already setting up the stage for so many battle royales. Like, who will Kaido fight if he does come back? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of characters that we have, and a lot more characters that at this point we kind of are just moved on from Kaido and Big Mom that we don't really care about them anymore as much as seeing everyone else.
Exactly. Uh, and the way the chapter ends, we find out that the Stussy we all have come to love and know and care about is actually a clone and is from the former Rocks Pirates. Miss Buckingham Stussy. What's her name?
Yeah, Miss Buckingham, Stussy.
What the hell, man? Like, what do you think about this whole thing?
So honestly, that was actually the most shocking thing to me. Like when she comes and she Thompson. First of all, it's bringing the vampire stuff into One Piece, which we haven't really actually seen, as far as I remember. We haven't seen something like that, and she
Never.
literally just straight up, uh, chomps down on Kaku's whatever part of that body is of his is, and drinks his blood. So I'm interested. Is she a vampire? Like, is that what she is? Is there some kind of vampire like creature in One Piece, or does she have a devil fruit that made her like a vampire?
The two things about Stussy that I saw on YouTube and other places when I saw the chapter when it came out was that firstly, I don't know if you know this, but when Stussy was introduced, she was sipping on giraffe juice because she had made juice out of a giraffe. I think this was back when the tea party was going on in Whole Cake Island. And she walked
Interesting.
in, she sucked the juice out of a giraffe and drank it. So Oda really likes to, you know, foreshadow like crazy. 6 years ago, however long ago Whole Cake Island was. And the second interesting thing I saw was that Weevil's mother is her nickname is something like Miss Buckin,
Yeah, yeah.
and
Someone mentioned that in the comments, in
she
the
looks
Viz
old
chapter, like
enough.
at the comments.
Oh, okay. She looks old enough where she could have been part of the Rocks Pirates, and what she could have been, she could be Stassy's true age. So therefore, Weevil could actually be Whitebeard's son.
That would
What the
actually
hell?
be really nice because Edward Weevil, I feel like, is that one character that we have not heard about in such a long time, and we know how Oda likes to draw big contrast between the women that when they're young and when women when they're old. Like Big Mom when she's young and Big Mom when she's old. Like there's a big difference. I mean, I guess for Big Mom it's a bit more consistent, but for other people, there is that big contrast. So she really likes to show people aging and getting old by like a lot, especially women.
If
So he,
if you're not young, you're not hot. That's just how it is.
yeah, pretty much that's what Oda's trying to tell us. So, um, Stussy being young, that would be a really awesome connection, I think, to Edward Weevil and actually tie that together because that's one thing we haven't seen in such a long time, and I'm still wondering like where was that story even leading and why did he even become what was the purpose of making him a Shichibukai, and we haven't even seen him do anything, and then he now the system is gone and we haven't even seen any Marines go after him yet either.
I wouldn't blame Whitebeard for tapping that. Good job. I'm proud of him.
All I'm gonna say is, I'm just interested in knowing if she's actually like a vampire. Is she a devil fruit user? Like, what is it? What power
Justice's
does she
story is
have?
actually crazy now. On top of that, because in the story, she's been in so many factions of the world. She's been in a pirate crew, Rocks Pirates. She's been working for the world government as CP0, and she's also been in the underground world as like an underground king or queen or whatever. It's really interesting to see now how this whole thing happened, and Stussy's backstory has suddenly become very much relevant and very much interesting, which I'm sure it's gonna tie back into the cover story somehow because we did see Stussy back when the Mads crew was really young. We all thought it was
Yeah,
someone else, but it's Stussy. Come on.
Yeah, yeah, it has to be Stussy, and we know that this definitely connects to why she said that she's familiar with the Egghead Island because that's where she was literally cloned.
Yeah.
But you also wonder how did Vegapunk and them even get Miss Buckingham's like DNA? Like where did they get it from? And there must be that connection between Vegapunk and Rocks or Vegapunk and Whitebeard, something there that you know they got that DNA. And why her for all like for what reason did they choose her? Or did they try to clone all of Rock's pirates, or did was it just her DNA? What reason would they have to clone her in particular?
Do you remember the last chapter where Vegapunk called on someone who's hidden on the island for backup?
Yeah,
Everyone was like, it can't be someone from the Rocks Pirates like Wang Ji or someone because there's no link between them and Vegapunk. The Stussy clone has now given us somewhat of a link or some connection with Vegapunk to the Rocks Pirates. So it's going to be interesting to see if that backup person can actually be someone from the Rocks crew, like Wang
well,
Ji.
is the backup person Stussy herself? Like, did he have to? Does he hit a switch and that something triggers in her brain or something? Like, we don't know if that might be the case. Because some people, even in the comments, were mentioning that maybe she is the backup that he's referring to, and he just clicked it, knowing that will trigger something in her brain.
But then someone responded to the Den Mushi.
That's true too. I mean,
So how does
we
that
saw
work?
her. She was with Kaku and Lucci the whole time, so it's unlikely that she was responding to Denden Mushi.
Before we end this whole episode, I want to ask you, which side is she on now? Now that she's sucked Kaku off.
You know, with all of Stussy's like again going back to the beginning of this arc where they talk about controlling like the living person's will, this clone potentially could even have the will of the original Miss Buckingham. I know it's a clone, and we know how clones work in real life, but maybe some of that is existing in her, and maybe she's like a third party that might actually cause a lot more catastrophe on both sides because she's already been on rocks. We know she's been in the underground. Maybe she has her own agenda.
She might just dip. You never know.
Yeah, she might just like incapacitate CPO and then take them or whatever. Like we really don't know exactly what she's gonna. I know I say that a lot that we really don't know, which is obvious. But I would say that that there's that possibility that she's a third party that might cause a little bit division between the Marines and Luffy and them. So maybe she gives them the opportunity to leave, but she's not on their side.
Yeah, she's on the side of evil for no reason. And evil, I mean pirate side. So very.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just interested. Or is she even with the wings? Is she actually a part of the Lunarians too? That's also a very big possibility too.
A Lunarian vampire.
I mean, you can't rule anything else out, right?
Yeah, man.
Not in the One Piece world. You can't rule anything out.
At least we're getting vampires now. I think we've completed all of the mythical creatures. Do we have witches? I think Dr. Kureha was like a witch.
I think you can consider Big Mom like a witch too. She pulls out souls and she puts it in. She's kind of like a witch.
That's fair. I'm at this point looking forward to the next chapter, man. It's been one hell of a chapter. Do you have any more
Yeah, and
thoughts?
even for a setup chapter where you got a good amount of discussion going on because there's a lot of questions that need to be answered.
The one with each chapter, we get more questions and less answers. That's just how One Piece is.
That's One Piece for you. More questions and you get answers.
And on that note, thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe, and peace.